We got to start with Brendan Sorsby, a saga we have been following. Steve, you want to take these full so I can read them because I don't have each of these tethered up. But yesterday, the NFL announced that it will not be holding a supplemental draft, meaning Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby will not be eligible to enter the NFL in 2026. The CBA allows the league to decide whether to hold a supplemental draft or not this year. It will not. As part of their reasoning, the NFL commissioner said, and quote, as Commissioner Goodell has emphasized, participation in the NFL is a privilege that carries with it significant responsibilities, including accountability. By all accounts, you, Brendan Sorsby, are a talented player with the potential for future success. Sorsby's lawyer, not taking too lightly to this news, Pete Thamel tweeting out that Sorsby's attorney, Jeffrey Kessler, told ESPN, quote, it is a violation of the CBA and the law. We will pursue this immediately with the NFLPA. So the saga may not be over. And Mike Florio, who covers the NFL for Pro Football Talk, is a registered lawyer, leans towards the side of Brendan Sorsby's attorney. This is what Mike Florio had to say about the NFL's decision to reject Brendan Sorsby's application into the NFL supplemental draft.
When quarterback Brendan Sorsby applied for the supplemental draft, the first question was whether or not the NFL would accept his application. The NFL has rejected that application and decided not to hold a supplemental draft. The NFL's reason is there isn't enough time to fully investigate what happened with Brendan Sorsby as it relates to gambling on his team, gambling when he was underage. And also the NFL expressed concern that Sorsby hasn't demonstrated accountability for his actions. Well, when you look at the CBA, there's nothing in there about accountability. There's nothing in there about investigation when it comes to eligibility for the supplemental draft. And lawyer Jeffrey Kessler, who's represented Sorsby in his fight against the NCAA, has made it clear that he believes the NFL's position violates both the CBA and the law, which means there could be litigation coming and there could be an effort to force the NFL to let Sorsby into the supplemental draft.
So that's the latest on the entire situation. We'll get to how it impacts the Browns in a second. But, G, you have been on the forefront of the Brendan Sorsby discussions since the whole allegation, since the suspension, since the appeal, since this news came out. What do you make of the latest twist and turn in the Brendan Sorsby saga? And is the NFL making the right decision to not allow him to enter the 2026 supplemental draft?
Man, it's too many cases out here for y'all to not understand what's going on. I don't get it. Like we've lived here in Cleveland, Ohio through the Deshaun Watson thing, right? So, they had hired a federal judge that gave out a suspension. The league came back and said, oh no, we don't think it was harsh enough. We're going to give you some more games. Ended up in 11 games. I've seen people like Colin Kaepernick. We ain't seen him since he kneeled. That was it. Hey, Brian Flores. Flores about to get these. Hey, I'm about to get this job. No, not so much. We didn't get your name mentioned that one time. When you sue the NFL, I haven't seen Gruden bit back. I don't know where he's at. The syndicate is what the syndicate is. When they send out that memo and tell you, hey, listen, this is how we gonna move. This is how we gonna move. It is what it is. And I think sometimes what you got to do is you got to think more strategically. If you Sorsby and your lawyer, you should have just played it up like this, man. Hey, listen, you right. Once the NCAA came, and they should have read the tea leaves when that injunction came down, and everyone lost it. Texas Tech came under fire. The NCAA, they talked about not playing Texas Tech in soccer, golf, field hockey, nothing. And Texas Tech was like, yeah, we're gonna cut our bait. Keep your money. And keep it pushing. They should have went to the NFL and said, hey, what steps do we need to follow to not be eligible this year? We talk about being eligible down the line. I tell him to save his money, keep it, get your treatment, and be able to come back in 2027 to see if you're going to be able to come back and play. But in terms of the conversations where people are saying, well, the NFL, they take money from gambling. I said, well, listen, that's called a business decision. I can drink, but I can't drink and legally drive a car. I can drink. I might not even be drinking and driving. But if we have a sponsor that's Bud Light, I can't be at a event drinking, can I? No, they're going to say, nah, bro, we got an event that you get paid to do what we tell you to do, not drink at the event. I don't care how much money we getting from Bud Light. You just can't do that. So I think the gambling thing, and trust me, I'm not sitting here saying that Dustin, like, this man should be done, shadow realmed, he doesn't get back into it. No, I'm not saying that. I believe in second chances in this country. I believe everybody should have an opportunity that if they're contrite, they go through the process of rehabilitation and get their life in order. I want to see everybody get a second chance. However, this was, to me, I knew this was coming because of the NFL stance on gambling, because they just weren't going to take the risk.
Yeah, hearing that statement and seeing what they had to say in terms of like, okay, there's not enough time to do the investigation on the player to find out all this information. I kind of get that a little bit because we know how long it took for Deshaun Watson's case to go through their process of their due diligence to figure out all of, get their ducks in a row. I think that that does make some sense. Now they have some time and they can figure it out between now and the draft next year. I think he will be eligible to play in the league next year or to go in the draft next season, but it's too much going on. This is not the end of the story though. I mean, you're going to hear more about his attorney and they're going to probably try to sue the NFL or try to get the league involved. I don't know exactly what they're going to be able to do, or if
would you advise that if you were?
I don't know. I mean, I would. Great question. I don't know what I would do if I was in the position of Brendan Sorsby. I probably would look at it like, okay, I don't want to ruffle any more feathers here because my career is too important. And I want to make sure that next year I can get to the league. Because it's not the end of the world. I mean, the kid, I'm sure he's got money because he made money this year.
Got some money.
And he's going to be a high draft pick at some point. Like, you've got time. And also, like, as someone who's in recovery for addiction myself, like, it doesn't happen overnight. So, like, the young man needs to take this time to reflect and to work on his life and make sure that he is in a good position that when he does have that opportunity to get to the league, that he's ready and that he can prove to everybody that he deserves that second chance.
There's going to be litigation, but it kind of feels like we're running out of time. Training camp's in a month.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of lawyers to hash out lawyery things in the next couple of weeks. I just don't know how they're going to pull this off in enough time. And, listen, Mike Florio and Jeffrey Kessler know way more about the,
sure.
the law than I do. For Florio, I hear what he's saying with, there's nothing about accountability in the CBA, but there is about gambling. So I think the NFL is going to win this ultimately. I think he is probably going to sit out the year. And, Maurice Clarett tried the antitrust route and was denied because they said, no, this has been bargained by both sides. So therefore antitrust doesn't fit. And I tend to think that this might go the same way, to where they're going to rule on the side of the NFL. But I don't know. It'll be fascinating to see how this goes the next couple of weeks. But they got to move fast on this, because once teams get in training camp, there is no supplement. You can't. The train's left the station at that point. So I'll be curious to see how this plays out. I'm on. I've been against Brendan Sorsby in Cleveland all along. I think that's a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. So I'll be fascinated to see how this plays out, though.
Well, let me ask you a question real quick, because the second part of this, and Jason, I'll start with you, then G, I want your opinion on this. We've gone back and forth on to put a bid in for Sorsby, to ignore Sorsby, how high of a bid. Do you think the fact that this is no longer an option, Jason, is a good thing for the Browns?
I don't think it has any impact, because I don't think they were going to bid on him anyway. So I think it's a moot point as far as they're concerned. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they were lying in the weeds and they were going to surprise everyone. But I don't think he was ever legitimately on their radar as someone that they were going to pursue.
Yeah.
G, same question to you.
I don't think. I mean, Todd Monken came out and was talking about it, and he was pretty definitive of why he couldn't and did not want to do it. So no, I think the Browns weren't interested. I think a lot of teams were not interested, because you got to understand what comes with that. Like, we talk about distractions a lot. We talk about distractions, and we kind of say it, and distractions is a nice little cute basket for everything that we don't like to go in it. But this is legitimately like, you're going to have to talk about gambling.
Yeah.
Like, any incomplete pass, any pass, anytime you fall down, anytime you're audible at the end of the... Look, it's already tough enough playing quarterback, but can you imagine every time something goes wrong, you got memes of you talking about throwing games?
I heard the snide remarks in the Browns locker room when Deshaun was playing poorly. I'd have players, $230 million. That's what you get for $230 million. What do you think they're going to say at the first interception?
After every he got sacked. I wonder, did he see that one coming? It's just tough, man. It's just really.
But here's the thing. Like, I don't. The guy never did anything on the field to throw a game. This
That's
wasn't
correct.
classic. Like, the fact that we even talk about this in the same vein. I mean, the kid was not even on the travel roster in Indiana. Like, he was in the dorm room when he was betting on the game.
I don't. You guys have been in the locker room. You know better than me. I don't think that matters. The gambling stink is on him. It's on him.
And maybe you're right about that, but I don't think that I'm not going to look at the player and be like, oh, this guy's throwing games because he's gambling.
Can I ask if it's someone Sorsby's age grew up with gambling being thrown in his face? And I'm not making excuses for him. I'm asking a question. 10 years ago, Jason, 20 years ago, I think you'd 100% be right. Once that stains on you, I don't think you get it off. But I am curious if with how prevalent gambling is, it's legalized everywhere. If it would have the same stink now, it may have had 20.
If this were 20 years ago, this kid would never play in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, he would never
He's
play.
Art Schleister.
He would never play. But it's different now. Like, dude, I'm just telling you, like, my son is in 8th grade and he's got buddies that are putting in parlays.
Oh, I know.
You know,
I know.
We're in a bad spot with the gambling for the younger generation, and
totally
they don't
agree.
understand. They're not equipped to understand the ramifications of it and how addictive it is and can be, and how much it can ruin your life. And I think that Sorsby obviously is one of those guys that now he's being made an example of, unfortunately for him personally, but he's not the only one. And I don't think this is going to be the end of this. I think we're going to hear more and more and more stories very similar to this as we go over the next 5 years or so.
I wrote about that for The Athletic a week or two ago. Is like Brendan Sorsby is sort of the face of the next mental health crisis. And I know that sounds like it's hyperbole, but it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not. When you talk about addiction and these kids who, I mean, cell phones are addictive to begin with, right? Like that's data proves that. And then you put gambling within a cell phone. That's dopamine on dopamine on dopamine.
It's just it's heroin. Is what it is.
Yeah.
And these kids, especially the younger kids, like, their brains aren't even fully developed.
That's right.
They should not be given this much stimulation at such an early age.
It's hard for us at 40 and
Extremely.
45 and 50 to handle this stuff. I can't imagine. My oldest is 24. I know he gambles more than he tells me he does. It terrifies me. Like, dude, you don't have any money. You're broke.
Yeah, he can ruin his life quick.
Absolutely.
Quick.
The thing that's when you look at it, and I think it gets skewed and it gets a little bit scary, because the NFL understands something. It's the reason why the NCAA is still there. For most of it is, yes, it's a relationship, but it's pragmatics involved. The NFL is getting free feeder system. What the NCAA's job is to do is to take really talented kids and weed them out. They want to find the guy who maybe has a drinking problem, or the guy who has a gambling problem, or the guy who can't show up on time. Because the reality is, by the time you get to that level and you're making that money and you are the face of a whole Fortune 500 company, they want the best information they can have. Yeah. I don't want to find out. They're looking. Some owners will look at it like this. I'm glad they found out he had a gambling problem then, rather than have to be in the Super Bowl and somebody said, hey, comes to find out this guy's doing this 9,000 plus bets. That's why they weed people out using the feeder system in the NCAA. For me, I just think about it all the time. I go back to these, sitting in those compliance meetings every single summer. Every summer, when you get up and you go sign your 1-year scholarship, right? They call you up. Compliance comes down. They say, guys, here's the number. These are the top 5 things you can get your scholarship taken for, right? And they start off with the number at 5. Going to class. Guys, you got to go to class. It's not negotiable. 2, underage drinking. Hey, but don't be underage drinking. Listen, if you get in trouble, let's not play games. And at the top of the list, random drug testing. Yeah, don't get caught for that. And then at the top of the list is gambling. And they sit there and tell you, and they said it's not the fact that you may bet on your team. It's not the fact that they may see something and they're going to find you for the $4 bet. No, it's the nefarious people that know you're not allowed to gamble and will use that. Once they get the hooks on you, they're going to say, listen, you know what you're going to do? You're going to tell me everything about the game plan. You're going to tell me about John over there at the left tackle. Is he hurt? Did he break up with his girlfriend? You're going to tell me what the game plan this week, or you will be outed. So that's the dangerous nature of it. I just hope, with this being said, it shows people that, like, look, you got your NIL money. A lot of people fought hard for you to get that NIL money. Don't give it all the way back with gambling. Don't give it back. Just, and it's easier said than done. But, for me, I look at it that the NFL came down and swung the hammer. And I think for him, I would suggest, hey, let's keep it pushing. Let's find out about some treatment, get yourself together. Because I do think if he goes through a step process, I think he will be eligible to play next year.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, it's not like this guy was dealing with nefarious people. Like, it wasn't like some shady stuff where he was,
He wasn't Damon Jones.
He wasn't fixing games.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing anything. Like,
I forgot about Damon.
I mean, he was so naive that he was doing it on the apps where these
It's tracked.
companies track everything. Yeah. And the second that they find out, they piece it together. I mean, it obviously set off the red light or red flag, or if you will. But he was a naive kid who became addicted to something that's very addicting.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'd say about addiction in general is most addicts are high achievers, and if they can overcome and break through and get it under control, look out. Look out.
Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you what. I'm not going to lie to you, man. Like, I ain't just saying this to say that because I'm here. I done known Dustin Fox for, 30-some years?
Yeah.
Well, I done witnessed ups and downs, but it's possible because he is a completely different person. Like, just the energy, the night and day, just the way he thinks about his family, the way he thinks about life in general. Like, I'm telling you, if you going through some stuff, you can get on the other side. Because,
there's no doubt.
Because I done seen this dude from this time go through something and come out on the other side and legitimately say he is a completely different person by the work that he's put in.
I appreciate you guys saying that. But it's true though. I mean, like, it is hard work, but if you get through it and get to the other side, my God, it's so good, man.
I don't want to put you on the spot. I don't want you to get
fine.
too personal. Why do you think it finally? Why did it finally click this time?
Well, for me, I mean, the only way you change with addiction is you're tired of suffering, and so that's what creates change. And honestly, for him, I think it's a blessing that he got caught, because it's going to force him to evaluate and things like that. That's why sometimes people have their rock bottom moments. It's like, if you're substance, for example, like if you're into whatever, drugs or alcohol, sometimes it takes a DUI, it takes going to jail, it takes something that happens. And fortunately for me, it didn't have to get to that point, but like, I just got to the point where I was just tired of living a certain way and being like trapped in a prison with my addictions. And I'm sure for him, he didn't. If you're placing thousands and thousands of bets in these things, like, it again, that's not fun. Yeah. Like, you don't enjoy it. It's just what your brain is trained to do. And if you can then, get out of that cycle, which I'm sure he's working through. I mean, I think the sky's the limit for the young man, honestly.